Hello guys, you asked for part 2, you got it. Last time, we completely demolished Godric, erased Morgott from existence, and melted Mohg right off his throne. But this time, things are harder, stronger, and bigger. Much bigger. In this video, you'll learn how to kill the fire giant in a single hit, which weapon is best for one-shotting bosses in Elden Ring, how to keep your buffs from expiring, and turn the final boss of the DLC into the easiest fight of your life. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's dive right in. And before we start, you might be asking a pretty logical question. What if you haven't watched part 1 yet? Well, the answer's simple. Go watch it right now. It's right there. Just kidding. For those of you who missed it, I've prepared the build and the buffs we used, along with their exact order. Here's a quick screenshot of the weapons and talismans you'll need. These are the buffs, and here's the sequence of using them. Moreover, to make things easier, we're splitting this run into stages. Up top, you'll see the bosses we're taking down, and down below, the sweet rewards we're getting for each one. Here's our lineup for Stage 1. Jori, Rakshasa, an Invader, and to top it all off, the Fire Giant himself. We've got the plan, we've got the targets, so let's jump right in. After defeating Mohg, our next target is a real monster, the Fire Giant. But here's the thing, if Mohg was a nightmare with 16,000 HP, this guy shows up with triple that. And just to make things worse, he's got 2 phases, with the second one rudely interrupted by a cutscene. And that basically means we can't use our build anymore. But before giving up, of course, we tried everything. First, Death's Poker, which didn't even come close to enough damage. Then, Comet Azure, but the Fire Giant just interrupts the cast when he transitions into Phase 2. So what now? How are we supposed to kill this thing? Well, if you don't have the DLC, your only hope is the Giant Crusher. 2 hits and he's done. Or we could use a skip, one of those famous warps that lets you jump straight to Farum Azula, grab the dragon incantations, and fry him with lightning. But that's not our way. We will not use any bugs in our run. In this case, the only way for us is to grab your lunch money, dust off the credit card, and buy this masterpiece of misery for a humble $50. Yeah, it's expensive paying for this amount of content, but we're Souls players. We don't buy DLCs, we buy what gives us emotional damage. So we teleport straight to Mohg, have a little chat with the brainwashed lady, and take the bony hand of Miquella, which sends us directly into the DLC. It looks absolutely stunning and epic at first glance, but don't let that fool you. Every single mob here hits like they've been visiting the gym since the Crucible era. And since our stats aren't even invested in Vigor, the mobs will be the ones doing one-shots on us. But there's hope. Skadu Tree fragments. See, in the base game, you were a tank. You could take hits and dish out pain. But here, Miyazaki decided to humble everyone. Your defense, resistances, and even your damage all got nerfed. If you're wondering how it works, here's a quick example. On the screen, you can see how much damage you take without fragments. And this is how much you take with all of them. And here's a nice little graph showing how your damage scales with each fragment. And another one for your defense. So yeah, we desperately need these things if we want to one-shot anything in the DLC. Oh, and one last thing. They're completely useless in the base game. Yeah, just live with that. Aside from the fragments, we've also unlocked an entirely new map, which means new items, new buffs, and new toys to collect.
So, it's time to turn on vacuum cleaner mode and start looting everything that isn't nailed down in the DLC. And of course, we start by collecting Skadu Tree fragments. You can grab around 14 to 17 fragments without fighting a single boss. Oh, and don't forget to actually upgrade them at the Site of Grace, because if you don't, they won't do a damn thing. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. My first DLC run was without any upgrades until Mesmer. It was a total nightmare. But anyway, let's not talk about pain. Let's talk about the next item. Our stop is the sewers beneath Bellurat Tower Settlement. Go up to these ruins on this spot. Then past the Horned Warriors and the Manflies lies a small chapel and a corpse holding the Poisoned Hand, a fist weapon that grants a passive 7.5% attack boost whenever poison or rot triggers nearby. From there, we push north to Temple Town Ruins. At the top of the tallest tower, behind a Horned Warrior, sits the Two-Handed Sword Talisman, a flat 15% boost to every two-handed swing. Exactly what the Giant Crusher loves.
Finally, we grab one more multiplier from the base game, the Twin Bird Kite Shield. Next stop, the Madness set, which boosts our raw damage by over 50%. But to even unlock that kind of power, we've got to take down the Gatekeeper first, Jori, the Elder Inquisitor. Now, on paper, this guy doesn't have much HP, but here's the catch. His arena is the size of a football field, and by the time you reach him, half your buffs are already gone. Worse, he teleports non-stop, spamming golden arcs from every corner like a divine machine gun. Getting close to him feels like chasing a mosquito with a claymore. So I did the only thing that made sense. I started casting buffs right on the arena, hiding behind a column like a true professional coward. We lined up the Death's Poker, hit every buff, and went for the one-shot. Jori didn't even flinch. The health bar dipped, he teleported somewhere, and we died from a random arc. My next try was to kill him with Comet Azure, but nope, the dude just teleports away and refuses to get one-shot.
Houston, we have a problem.
The boss is extremely mobile and dodges almost everything we throw at him, which means we need something else, something faster and stronger, something that hits before he can vanish. And luckily for us, there's a little surprise sitting in our inventory, a beautiful Giant Crusher plus 19. So we head over to the Albinoric village, grab one more larval tier, and respec from brains to strength. And totally not as part of some evil master plan, we crash right into this random barrel, and surprise! Inside is a guy with an item we'll actually need later. Then we come back to Jori, swing that hammer, and still not enough damage. Not even close. Which means it's time to upgrade our Giant Crusher, all the way from plus 19 to plus 25. But there's one little problem. We can't just buy the smithing stones we need yet. The bell bearing that unlocks level 7 and 8 stones is actually in Farah Missoula. And guess what? The fire giant is blocking the way. That means we need 10 smithing stones, level 7, and 12 smithing stones, level 8, all by hand. So we hop on our trusty horse and start looting. 5 of them come from one-shotting the boss inside Celia Tunnel in Caelid. Another 3 can be found near the First Church of Merica in the mountaintops of the Giants, and the last 3 you can grab by breaking the statue on the riverbank that the giant smashed open for us. And that wraps up all the level 7 stones. We upgrade our weapon, but before going after the level 8 ones, we've got a few quick stops to make. First, we teleport back to Redmane Castle, head into the room behind the gate. It used to be locked, but now it's open. Inside, we find the Flame Affinity Whetstone, grab it, and infuse our Giant Crusher with fire. Next, we make our way to this tree boss in Caelid. It's one of the shortest fights ever, since, well, it's literally weak to fire. Once that's done, we teleport back to the mountaintops of the Giants, which means it's finally time to farm level 8 stones. To do that, we'll need access to the second snow region, which means it's time for another one-shot. A one-shot on the general himself. So we head to this castle, reach the boss arena, and while he's busy summoning his minions, we hit him with the most disrespectful one-shot possible. He drops one half of the medallion, which opens the path to the second snowy area. And luckily for us, we already looted the other half earlier, so the path forward is completely open.
So we teleport to the Grand Lift and use the Haligtree's secret medallion to unlock the path.
There are 8 stones in total here, though we already grabbed 2 earlier from the statue and the Skull Hill back in Caelid. As for the rest, we can farm a few from the miners inside. They only have about 1% drop rate, but come on, that's nothing for true Souls players like us. Or, if you don't feel like losing your sanity, you can just grab one from Mohg's Palace and another from the Corp not too far from this tunnel. The very last, our 9th smithing stone, can be found at the Church of Repose. And with that, our weapon is finally maxed out. This build is locked, loaded, and ready to go. Time for Jori, round 2. Get ready, boy. We stack all our buffs right outside his arena, and yes, 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 he's done. That means we've got ourselves a brand new set of buffs to play with. And the first one is Madding Hand. Very easy to get, just kill Invader, and it is in our hands. The second one is the Aged One's Exaltation, and here is the place where things got different. This guy is literally immortal. No exaggeration. He just refuses to die. But there's a trick. Parrying. So we grab a buckler, and right when his hand goes up over his head, that's your cue. Parry him at that exact moment. The parry window here is huge, so trust me, you're not gonna miss it. Then we crawl into Rivermouth Cave, where a pit of blood fiends pray to a puddle. Loot the glowing corpse on the center rock to grab the sacred bloody flesh, which are disgusting, but it works. The last thing we need is the blood-sucking cracked tear, so we teleport to the ruins of Unte and find an inactive furnace golem there. Right now, you can't do anything to it, because it needs to be activated. And how do you wake up a fire golem? That's right, with fire. So we grab the Greater Potentate's cookbook and collect the materials scattered around the map. You'll also need 5 hefty pots, which you can pick up at the Tower of Pots and near various ruins. After crafting everything, throw 1 pot straight into the golem's head to activate it. Then climb up, get all the way to the top, aim carefully, and toss a few more pots right into its open furnace head. You can buff yourself to deal more damage, but honestly, I couldn't be bothered. He's not even a real boss, so I just bombed him. And with that, the loot is done, which means it's time to finish off our friend, the Fire Giant. But before that, we have to face the final boss of this entire run, the buff stacking itself. If you're on console, this part's gonna hurt. There's nothing to make your life easier there. But if you're on PC, you've got an advantage. You can use a macro keyboard to automate the entire buff stack perfectly. We'll post a full guide on how to set it up over on our Patreon, so make sure to check it out. The link's in the description. Or it will be leaked in our Discord, but after a month. Anyway, we stack every single buff we've got, and the epic fight begins. Even this massive machine couldn't stand against us, which means the next bosses don't stand a chance either. Alright, that was easy. We just killed 42,000 HP without skips, buffs, or cheats. So, our next stop, Farum Azula.
The world here isn't as beautiful as in the DLC, but the bosses? Absolute fire. The first ones to greet us are the Godskin duo, and here's the catch. They respawn, which means we have to one-shot both of them at once. For that, we'll need sleeping pots. And yeah, to make sure we don't deal damage too early, we throw them near the duo, not directly at them. Huge shout out to our viewers for pointing that out. Anyway, once they're standing close together, we drop a sleeping pot under their feet and double one-shot. Next up, Malekith. In Phase 2, he's fast, agile, and pretty much all over the place. But in Phase 1, he goes down with a single hit, with plenty of damage to spare. So we smash him, and only a few more bosses stand between us and the end of the main game. That brings us to Godfrey, who just had to join the fun. His first attack gives us a perfect opening for a one-shot, so we stack part of our buffs outside the arena and finish the rest inside. Then, a glorious one-shot right to the face. And finally, we reach Radagon and the Elden Beast. Unlike the others, this fight's special. You can't one-shot both at once, since the Beast has to spawn in after Radagon dies. So, target number 1 is Radagon. We unload every buff we've got and shatter him to pieces. Then reapply our buffs and go straight for the Elden Beast. Luckily, Radagon is especially weak to strike damage, so he never stood a chance. Yeah, it was a grind, but we did it. Elden Beast defeated. You did great, I did great, everyone did great. Bravo. We've officially beaten the entire main game. Every boss, one-shotted. Well, almost. Because let's be honest, it wouldn't be a true one-shot run without Malenia. So we pack all our buffs, head straight for Loretta, and then the goddess herself. Let's just sit back and watch her melt under the epic music.
What a feeling. And with that, Part 2 comes to an end. If you want Part 3, where we one-shot every boss in the DLC, drop a comment saying Part 3 or DLC below. Your feedback means a lot, so don't forget to ring the bell, and if you have any questions about the game, join our Discord. See you in the next one. Wait, you're still here? Alright then, here's a special treat, a bonus compilation of some absolutely insane one-shots on side bosses. Enjoy!